Hi there, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be baking my birthday cake myself. I don't have any idea what I want to do for my design, but let's trust the process and go on. Don't forget to like, share and comment, and also if you are yet to subscribe, just hit the subscribe button and be a part of my channel. Thank you. So let's get right into the video. So I'm going to be making two flavors. Of course, my favorite flavor, red velvet and chocolate cake. So we're going to be starting with the red velvet cake. The first thing I did, of course, was make my buttermilk, and this is just a combination of milk and white vinegar. And I chose to use Dano full cream liquid milk, but you can use any milk of choice. You can even use powdered milk and dissolve it with water. Just that you're going to use, if it's 2 cups you're using, you use 2 cups of water to dissolve your milk. For 2 cups of milk, I went in with 2 teaspoons of white vinegar, and the amount of milk or buttermilk you are using also depend on the quantity of cake you want to make. So note that for 2 cups of buttermilk, I'm going to be using 4 cups of all-purpose flour. And then I went in with 1 teaspoon of baking powder and also 1 teaspoon of baking soda. When you are baking your cake, don't just copy and paste any quantity you see online. It should depend. Your quantity and your recipe or the amount of ingredients you use should depend on the quantity of cake you want to make. I went in with 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and I was also supposed to go in with 2 teaspoons of real velvet coloring, but mine was not up to 2 teaspoons. I just went in with everything that was left. I mean, my red velvet should be red. It's called red velvet for a reason. I went in with 2 cups of sugar for this quantity and mixed together everything. The reason I made my buttermilk first was to allow it sit for a while. Then into that, I added 4 eggs and 2 cups of any vegetable oil. I used power oil, so you can use any vegetable oil. Mixed that together with my whisk. I like hand mixing my red velvet and chocolate cake so I don't overmix. But if you want to use your mixer, you can as well. I like using my hand to control it properly. Then I just went in with my wet ingredients. I poured that into the dry ingredients. Normally, I add my sugar to the wet ingredient, but today I decided to add all the dry ingredients together and the wet ingredients together. It doesn't really make any difference though. Just mix everything together. I mixed everything, both the wet and the dry ingredients. Then I went in with 2 teaspoons of butterscotch flavor. Then I gave that my final mixing. Like I said, I like hand mixing so I don't overmix my batter. It's very important you don't overmix your batter. I transferred it into 2 baking pan and baked in my oven for 1 hour 10 minutes on 200 degrees Celsius. You have to remove all your batter, and before you bake, you have to tap it down so to remove air bubbles. While that was in the oven, I proceeded to bake my chocolate cake. I added 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1.5 cup of sugar to my bowl. Then I went in with 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. I also went in with 1 teaspoon of baking soda and baking powder. The process of making red velvet and chocolate cake are similar, like it's very similar, almost the same process. Here, I had already made my buttermilk and I added 2 eggs to it. Then I went in with 1 cup of vegetable oil. I used power oil as well. Whisk that together with my hand whisk and pour that into the dry ingredients. The only difference between chocolate and red velvet cake is that you use more of cocoa powder for chocolate cake because you want it to have chocolate color, dark color. I went in with 1 teaspoon of butterscotch flavor as well. And also another thing is hot water. Don't miss this. I went in with 1 cup of hot water. That's also a difference between chocolate cake and red velvet cake as well. I don't add hot water to my red velvet cake.
And of course, I will add red coloring to chocolate cake. That's why I said the process are almost similar. They are not similar, but almost similar. Now look at how good my batter is. So I just poured that into my pan, heat on the ground normally to remove air bubbles. Then I baked as well for on 200 degrees Celsius for 1 hour as well. And after baking, this is how good my cake came out. Like, it looks so good and yummy. Now to the most therapeutic part of me baking cake, the covering of my cake. I told you guys I didn't have any particular design in mind yet, but I knew I was going to use whipped cream for my cake. I love whipped cream so much. So I'm just going to show you how you can get a very stable whipped cream in 5 minutes. I'm making use of 500 grams of whipped cream. And for that, I used 1 sachet water, cold water. And I didn't add everything once. I added it little by little, as you can see in the video, so that if it gets to the consistency I want, I would stop. But I ended up using the 1 sachet. But don't pour everything once so that your whipped cream don't get too light when you are mixing it. And then I whipped for exactly 5 minutes. This was after 4 minutes. It's stable already, but I still wanted it to be more stable. I whipped for another 1 minute, and this is what I had. This whipped cream was very smooth and so stable. Like, it can stand the test of time. It can even stand Nigeria economy. Look at how it is. I was even trying to shake it off, but it didn't come off. Like, it was so stable. And I'm so proud of myself because the first whipped cream I made was not really stable and I didn't know what I did wrong. It was okay. I could use it to cover my cake, but it was not as stable as I wanted and I didn't know what went wrong. So I had to watch a lot of videos to learn. That's why it's important to learn. Me, I'm somebody that loves learning, especially when it comes to kitchen stuff, cooking, baking, snacks, and all those stuff. I like to learn online. And that's why I'm making this video for you to learn as well. It's good to learn. I crumb coated my cake off camera rather, but now I'm just covering it with more whipped cream so I can smoothen it out. And as usual, I can't overemphasize the importance of crumb coating. You need to crumb coat so that you can seal in all those particles, all those the particles of your cake that came down when you were trimming, so that when you want to cover your cake, it will not be showing in your buttercream or your whipped cream. So that is the reason we crumb coat. So if you didn't know this before, now you know. Let me hear your thank you in the comment section. That was on a lighter note though, but make sure to crumb coat your cake before covering it with either your butter or your whipped cream. I like working with whipped cream because to me it's easier to smoothen out. It's my preference, a personal preference. I'm not saying generally that whipped cream is better than buttercream when you want to cover. Buttercream can be better for some people, but for me, whipped cream is actually better. It's easier for me. And then I wanted to just use comb on the body of my cake, but I didn't have the long one. I always forget to buy that long comb. I don't know why. Maybe because I have this and I know I can just fall back to it. But it's not easy at all to work with this on a tall cake. As you can see, it was not enough to go around once. I had to do it in 2 layers up and down. And that can make your cake to not be too smooth if you don't do it properly. I had to do it with care and with, of course, sense. So it doesn't look this thing that I swapped in 2 sides. Do you get? I decided to add some gold balls and white balls to the cake. So I just wanted to go with this white and gold vibe. I'm a minimalist when it comes to cake design. I really don't like too much design on my cake. But if that is what the customer wants, there's no problem. But for me, you will never catch me doing too much design. I'm not Ben 10. I'm not Avatar. So why am I doing too much design on my cake? I believe elegant, simple, and classy is the way for me. And since I've already decided to go with the white and gold vibe, I decided to add this white and gold pairs of different sizes to switch things up. And my cake was looking beautiful. And then I had to add this topper. I don't like putting my topper on top of my cake. I like it on the body. So I just broke out that part and just sticked it to the body of the cake like this. And this was so good. Like, my cake was looking too fine to be eaten. I didn't want to eat the cake at this point. I was so satisfied. I was so happy with the outcome. It came out so beautiful. Everybody that saw the cake was like, wow, this is so pretty. I hope this video was helpful to you. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, and also subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.